Just as it's important to understand the overall structure of a passage, it's equally important to understand the structure of a question. We'll examine the common question types within reading comprehension. It pays to understand them beforehand. Let's start by looking at this pie chart. It shows the relative distribution of question types on reading comprehension passages. Notice how the biggest part of the pie is dedicated to inference questions. 40% of reading comprehension questions are inference questions. See this as an opportunity. Most of your test day competitors out there are intimidated by inference questions. They misconstrue what the test maker asks of you. After this session, you'll strategically attack inference questions, and of course all questions, to your advantage. Let's take a look at the chart here and see how each of these questions works. Determine how to answer them quickly and effectively. Let's begin with global questions. Global questions speak to the entire passage. There are two types that do so. One type is signaled by language such as, what is the primary purpose or point? What is the main idea? What's the main concern? The other type speaks to the overall structure or organization of a passage. All those questions clearly speak to the topic, scope, purpose analysis. To answer these types of global questions, consult your topic, scope, purpose notes. And that's it. Your competitors are going to go back and reread chunks of the passage to grapple with this question, but you'll have a direct route to the right answer. Detail questions ask about specific details from the passage. They often include language like according to the author or according to the passage. Detail questions always ask about something stated explicitly. Key details are usually associated with key words. Use your passage map, along with the clue given in the question stem, to research the relevant information within the passage. Let's consider inference questions. Words like suggest, implies, infers, or the phrase most likely agrees with are classic indicators of inference questions. On the GMAT, inferences are not conjecture. They're not merely plausible based on experience. Inferences are things that must be true based on the information contained within the passage. In this context, all of the information you need to support the correct answer choice is on your screen. For inference questions, use your passage map to research the relevant information within the passage. For open-ended inference questions, use your topic, scope, and purpose to eliminate wrong answer choices. Okay, let's look at the fourth question type for reading comprehension, logic questions. The test maker employs phrases such as in order to or the function of to indicate logic questions. A logic question asks one of two things, either how an author uses a particular fact or what a function a paragraph plays within the author's argument. If the question's about the function or logic of a fact, attack that part of the passage. Read the 2 or 3 sentences around that. Get a sense of whether a fact's being used as an example of something or a counterexample of something. Pre-phrase your answer and attack the choices accordingly. If the question's about the function of a paragraph, you can probably anticipate your strategy. Consult your passage map. That's why you wrote it in the first place. About 8% of reading comp questions will not fall neatly into the 4 main categories, but Kaplan-trained test takers have the strategies for handling these questions. They all have one thing in common: strategic reading. You must define precisely what the question is asking you to do. Let's look at some of the kinds of questions that fall into this other category. Critical reasoning question types, such as assumption, strengthen, weaken, or flaw questions, refer to arguments that are made in a passage, just as they do in a critical reasoning stimulus. For a question like this, research the portion of the passage that includes the argument referenced by the question stem. Then, just as you do in critical reasoning, identify the conclusion and the relevant evidence. Use the central assumption to form a prediction for the right answer. Another unusual question type is a parallelism question. It asks you to take the ideas in a passage and apply them to a new situation. A parallelism question might then ask, which of the following situations is most comparable to the one in the second paragraph? Parallelism questions are more concerned with the structure than the substance, so the correct answer will provide a chain of causally connected events, such as water pollution from a factory causing the death of a certain type of algae, which in turn causes a decline in the fish population that relied on that type of algae as its primary food source. Don't look for a choice that deals with the same subject matter as the passage, as these are often traps. Only the correct answer choice will accurately reflect the process described in the passage. Application questions function similarly to parallelism questions. Keep in mind, though, that parallelism questions ask you to identify an analogous logical situation without concern for subject matter. Application questions ask you to apply information or ideas directly within the same subject area rather than by analogy. Focus on the question type rather than the content of the passage. It doesn't really matter if a passage's content is in an area such as business or social science or biology, etc. Reading strategically helps you get through the passage quickly, and focusing on the question type helps you answer the questions quickly as well.